Mr. Snowdon. Not demanding.
Advising or suggesting. While the right honourable gentleman was writing in the Observer articles which might easily have been interpreted to mean that he was ready to approve of a return to the gold standard, urging that risks should be run and that no time should be lost, Mr. Keynes was writing in The Nation a series of searching and brilliant articles, formidable and instructive, in favour of a managed currency. You could not have had a greater difference than was exhibited between the writings of the right honourable gentleman and the articles of Mr. Keynes. What has happened in the event? The right honourable gentleman, who advocated a return to the gold standard at the earliest moment, when we return to the gold standard, attacks us. But Mr. Keynes says, if we are to return to gold, and in the face of general opinion that is inevitable, the Chancellor and the Treasury and the Bank have tried to do so along the most prudent and far-sighted lines which are open to them. That is the statement which was made, I say, by the most able, most powerful opponent of the return to gold. Here is the right honourable gentleman, who is one of the strongest advocates of the return to gold, confronted with the same facts as Mr. Keynes, accusing the government of undue precipitancy.
Mr. Snowdon. May I also quote this from Mr. Keynes? There remains, however, the objection, to which I have never ceased to attach importance, against the return to gold in actual present conditions in view of possible consequences and the state of trade.
Certainly, I say he is the most capable exponent of the opposite view, and absolutely disagrees with the right honourable gentleman on the principle. And yet, so fair-minded is he in judging this matter that, apart from the principle, if you're going to do it, he says this is much the best way. What is the explanation of the difference between the two? The explanation is that the right honourable gentleman, unlike Mr. Keynes, has to consider party manoeuvres and party exigencies, and it is not thought prudent, in regard to a matter of this kind, about which many people entertain conflicting views, that the official opposition should take up any attitude which, if unsatisfactory results accrued in the future, would prevent them from being able to say, "I told you so." The right honourable gentleman is really in an excellent position. He is, in sporting parlance, standing on velvet. If everything goes successfully, and no evil consequences arise, not even temporarily, if there are no spasms of any kind, he will be able to say, we were always in favour of the return to the gold standard. The Labour Party in office declared itself strongly in favour of it. If, on the other hand, there should be in some few months' time some spasm or some stringency, and momentary agitation is raised in the press, he will again be able to rise in his place, or write another article in the Observer, saying that he had foretold it. Let us see what would happen if the official Labour amendment were carried. We should find ourselves deprived of every effective means of making the transition safe. We should not be able to secure the credits in the United States which are intended to warn off speculators, in the excellent phrase Lord Oxford used last week, to warn off the international banditti of finance from making attempts to overturn our gold standard. If we were left unprotected, and such attempts succeeded, we should have to make very heavy shipments of gold, and we should certainly have to raise the bank rate. At the very time that we were exposed to this strain, we should, if the amendment now before the House were carried, have to pay out sovereigns from the gold reserves to everyone who chose to ask for them, and in order that there should be no risk of a shortage, the Mint would be under an obligation of minting into sovereigns all gold tendered to it. I can understand condemning the principle of a return to gold, but to approve the principle and then to leave this country defenceless in a vital matter of this kind, when it is already committed, is a course which I am quite sure very few responsible members in this House will care to support in the lobby. I do not know whether there will be a division or not on this issue. If there is, well and good. But if there should be no division, on the whole, possibly, some national, apart from party, advantage would be gained thereby. No doubt it is a serious matter for a minister and a government to have to take the responsibility for a measure of this kind. I will tell the House quite simply on what authority I base myself and what reasons have influenced me. I do not pose as a currency expert. It would be very absurd if I did. No one would believe me. I present myself here not as a currency expert, but as a member of Parliament with some experience in dealing with experts and weighing their arguments, as the minister who has behind him what I believe is, and what I dare say the right honourable gentleman believes is, upon the whole, the finest expert opinion in financial matters, in treasury matters, in the whole world. We have behind us the unbroken opinion of every government while it was responsible. We have every Prime Minister and every Chancellor of the Exchequer, except, with some recent modification, the right honourable gentleman. We have every committee and every conference that has been held since the war. We have the Currency Committee's report, which has been available for several days in the Vote Office and gives all our general reasons. That is the basis and the foundation on which we rely, not only as regards the principle, but generally as regards the method. Apart from the principle, I had to rely on the best expert advice I could get as to method and time. The advocates of a managed currency say, why do you not continue to manage the currency? See how successful it has been. See how well it has been done. Why do you not continue a managed currency? I agree that the experts at the Treasury and the Bank of England who have managed the currency during the past few years have been wonderfully successful. This is all the more remarkable because those years have been years of violent political fluctuation and disturbance, in spite of which they have managed to steer a steady course, maintain a fairly stable financial policy, and promote and enhance British credit. That is a great achievement. But surely the experts to whom this achievement belongs must be very high authorities on the subject. Surely they are the people who ought to know most about it. Surely their opinion counts more than the clever arguments of academic theorists or the interested attitude of party politicians. I, as minister, and the government take full responsibility. I'm not setting our opinion up, but I am saying we are right to be guided by the statements of opinion we have received from them. Surely, if you can rely upon a body of expert opinion which has actually conducted, financially, the affairs of this country with success, and tendered advice to their ministers, a long and changing succession of ministers, you are entitled to base yourself with real assurance upon the advice you receive from them. When the men who have managed the currency so well, according to the opponents of the present bill, tell me that they can manage the currency no longer upon this basis, and tell me it would have been impossible to have managed it so far as they have, unless they had always had the return to the gold standard as a goal to steer towards, and that if we were now to repudiate the gold standard and introduce legislation for the purpose of prolonging the embargo, an immense injury would be done to the whole structure of British finance, surely their opinion should carry great weight. That is the advice upon which I have to rely, and to which I am bound to pay the greatest attention. I have endeavoured, of course, to the best of my ability, to think out the problem for myself, and I will give the House a few non-technical reasons why I think we are bound to take this step, and take it now, and take it in this particular way. The first of these reasons is the position of this crowded island, which could not support its present population by the unaided exertions of its agriculture, its manufactures, or even its shipping, unless these exertions were supplemented by the worldwide interests of this country in finance and business. The great working class population, such as we have here, requires, above all things, and our economic problem requires, above